Welcome to Tidbit Talkin. Here's some ideas about boatloads of entertainment media. Some serious, others not so much. Generally only spoilers for whatever's currently featured, and a bit of vague references to other things in a shared universe. Now with all of that out of the way, here we go. The adults at that historic Maverick raid must have been killed because they probably would have asked too many questions about all those child-saving mysterious blood donations which miraculously occurred almost immediately after said shenanigans stopped. Serpent most likely thought permanent silence was a much simpler option than making up one or more stories that every distraught family would accept for a lifetime. Those two mostly interchangeable main characters must have been contemplating fighting that snake mechanoid with one of the Guardian's pistols before Model X intervened. Speaking of which, this heroic, heavenly-hued head heap must have been designed based on old Neo-Arcadian data that Seal got free reign over following Vile's defeat. The live system in-universe at this point is likely something that recently mentioned grown child prodigy designed for emergency transporting people to trans servers during extreme crises. She of course would have built this after Zero never returned from Ragnarok. Also, these tech-tapping trauma teleport things only bring one up to the minimum of 2 extra chances and not maximum hoopla because she didn't want anyone losing their life prematurely. Somebody croaking because revitalizing junk was out of stock for a bit would have definitely crushed the all-adoring researcher's already highly damaged soul. Another also, data disks got strewn throughout the world by CL, so folks who connected with biometal while already informed people like those nifty Guardians weren't around could have a decent chance at figuring out what's going on after first transformation action ensued. Many Mets helmets are silver now because after centuries of them all tanking blasts nigh perfectly, the paint's finally starting to wear off. This aircraft's auto-protecting lost cargo defense apparatus whatnot must come with a built-in self-destruct failsafe thingy just in case a plane crash occurred and unstoppable marauders arrived before all pilot passengers did. The testing hide-and-seek mission must be training for potential not-government-affiliated protective organization recruits used for proving they have what it takes to find things like sub-tanks and other power-up deals scattered throughout the world by a certain founding Big Sis commander. Also, Prairie might be using her troops to spy on the behavior of those seeking membership, because premature identity-revealing zaniness might cause an early horrible death or something. This would have been inspired by the action of Slither Incorporated's founder. It's also pretty decent practice for handling those megaforms and everything. These Red Striker and Rush Roadster toy replicas may have been manufactured based on plans found within that previously mentioned Old Capital digital info pile as well. They got mass-produced along with other historic merchandise to help fund CL's research, and also cheer up the world in this new peaceful time. Alouette's Precious Plushie is a certification prize because she knows that anybody who treats it properly will fight for more selfless reasons. Related, New Boss Lady hid her commander status earlier because she didn't want to change Ben and Ail's emotional state too much so they could continue battling with the exact same effectiveness shown off while everybody was Protect All Life Desire filled during that hero save attempt malarkey. There is likely some mild concern that Traverses could produce biometal effectiveness or some such. It's called Area X not just because of tribute to the universally loved blue hero, but also since, as a vehicle, its location is variable. Kinda related, nothing gets called Area Z because of that centuries ago Zero labeled one, and reusing such a name, even with accidental abbreviation, would bring great disrespect upon many things. The Fantastic Foursome is counted among Dr. C's group of legends, not just because of them helping directly in Z3, but also since remaining troops who were loyal to them and not awful new rulers provided resources for world rebuilding after Game 4 ended. There are several info deals and enhancing thingies spread throughout the highway because CL knew that where X and Zero first fought the not advanced degree having Vile is a good place for training up heroes. Semi-organic morph doodads must have a function that can turn Reploids into Cyber Elves right away so they can help guide their great power-equipped successors more or less immediately after tragic deaths come about. It's basically a really enhanced version of making sure the next generation doesn't repeat the previous one's mistakes. Vent and Ale could easily exist simultaneously if models X and Z were split in half like the 4 Guardian biometals. This would never be brought up by anyone because not even most allies could know since such info leaking might result in Serpent killing even more children. Somebody else trusted by Alouette must have the unseen sections in a distant nation or whatever, along with another chosen one who's cared for like family. These new version actually automatically aging androids are so much like humans that they possess bones and organs in order for them to know the exact experiences them shaped life forms regularly go through as a result of simply existing. Thus, everybody can provide proper medical care and whatnot during emergency crap, no matter who's hurt. Snaky CEO's interested in using Cyber Elves as a power source in order to figure out whether or not he can pilot a new body after the first one goes kaput. Pseudoroid weak spots must be the result of these particular mega mergers failing because things lack sufficient matching material. Perfecting cloning must be really tricky in a world where both metallic and fleshy genetic components must be considered for absolutely everyone. The Guardians know about dash leaping and whatnot because their commander briefs them all on every biometal capability just in case some rando they encountered while traveling was a match, or even simply one of their own. Regular kitchen activity prepared food and factory method produced energy packs are both viable for health recovery now because all beings possess equally demanding organic/electronic sections. Also, Reploid eating probably gets done for at least one more reason than robo people being metabolically similar to gooey ones now. That being them having to deal with restaurants and other food consumption associated establishments from either the customer or business owner side. Old Andrew would have helped much with the research for this feature due to his ample baking experience. Model H got that vulnerability detector installed because such a feature is best suited in a form with extensive mobility. So many fan blade trap deals are here because they can serve the multi-purpose of cutting through snow and ice while simultaneously circulating clean air for much-needed temp control shenanigans. Elf Boss Dad must have found out about and activated that Serpent Cast revealing distress signal via cyberspace. This amusement park was an optimal location for hosting that Chosen One finding Maverick raid because there is a lot more machines to manipulate than most places between the rides, workers, and personality-lacking automated maintenance devices. Mini-Mets most likely manage the insides of all their larger counterparts, including these giant versions. The latter wouldn't need normal-sized ones because they'd use the same tiny wiring, just more of it. Keeping the innards similar for all models would make global mass producing much easier after all. Foes like Perpril with very crappy obvious extra harm receiving sections are a thing when one is really incompatible with the biometal being used. Like for example, when someone who acts like King Kong wishes to use a ninja's powers. There's less pay for Guardian missions than Transporter ones because of two reasons. 1. The player character is a rookie for that first thing. 2. Prairie's got a greater number of employees to deal with, so budget stretching is going to be more of a thing with her organization. The excessive amount of troops assaulting HQ isn't just enemy dudes being worried about biometal users. There'd also be some junk going on where Slither Security pretends to help with cleaning up the accidental damage after wreckage lands near city places. Tons of giant health pieces are around because CL made sure sub-tanks were widely available once the energy crisis got solved so nobody would die too soon, like many members of her beloved Resistance did. On that note, Serpent didn't stop a second massive resource shortage after that last series. He merely spread propaganda to take credit for his former friend's work in ending the sole original one. These dolls in Miss Beloved Leader's room exclusively form if a perfect victory is obtained because such conditions are the only ones under which Vent/Ale want to spend time thinking over the battle to describe their foes adequately enough that certain artisans can make them. If they gotta pay for new ability weapon repairs and deal with moon tending, there's simply too much pissed offness going on to allow sufficient clear thinking action. The Zelda foe-like abomination must be some sort of experimental prototype invented during this Earth's quest to make portable geothermal energy. This not-so-simple-to-reach emergency life storage one can find after dealing with the lava flow control and other complications must have been part of a zany scheme involving where Flamol should stash any Model W's he dug up. These materials the Guardian's medical staff requires here must be what sub-tanks are made of, and Protectos too. Society demands such things be just as sturdy as that ridiculous Roy, so they're always safe during and after beatdowns that can leave the holders near death. Prairie's crew might also help fund their operations by secretly selling these things in bulk with a disguise providing medicinal company. Later people wind up with the excess stock. Anyway, it's only an entirely new item in the sense that she didn't personally know how to make it before this. Huraquan isn't stationed here because there's some sort of strength boost for electricity-focused machines. Rather, every other Pseudoroid wouldn't be able to see when the power was cut off. Speaking of which, ditching the lights might have just been part of that plan to keep these people scared before their cyber-elf conversions occurred. Especially by reminding them no saviors could make it through. Also, the fear part is probably related to research Serpent found regarding where Kriya, Priya, and Mother Elf are at emotionally in their darker states. Slinky Slimeball Supervisor left those data disks in the care of high-ranking goons that kinda suck at moving around because even if such individuals felt like betraying him and running off, they wouldn't have very good success chances. Anyway, trans servers don't restore biometal energy because nobody knows enough about the transforming devices yet to implement such a function. Prairie tells that story of Model W slightly differently depending on whether Vent or Ale is being dealt with because the first option reminds her of X and Zero while the other one brings forth reminders more focused upon CL and Nage. Massive global resource problem-solving gal proclaimed she designed Models X and Z, but this didn't say anything about those themed on the 4 Guardians. Bluebotbit must have formed them itself, just like the human-sized counterpart it's based on did for the similarly shaped original. These resurrected Z34 bosses and Model O must be the result of Bile's remaining instincts inside W, trying to recreate Omega and his entire army again, after seeing what CL did with the other heroic change devices. Prometheus and Pandora almost definitely were going to frame the retaliating Guardians for this attack on Inner Peace. Those two treat Mr. Hero and Miss Defender differently because the former reminds them of another stupid young man they like taunting, Serpent. That weapon tank must be something Prairie Alouette puts together to remind herself of Servo, who was the first person she knew that could make such things. This time around, these rematch rooms are regularly used to produce those lovely outside the final area repeat fights one can partake in, because they're what actually fuels the Pseudoroid's regenerative capability. Hence this area's destruction, making these current foes not so much a problem in the next game. There are so many cyber elves here because Scaly Stabber used this place's death trap for terrifying and killing all the folks promoted to main office work. Emotions multiply Model W power because intense ones can make folks lose the ability to think like their usual rational selves, rendering them more vulnerable to vile mind-remnant takeover junk. Serpent treating the player character differently is because one reminds him of self kind of people, while the other generates thoughts concerning that boss lady he betrayed. Cyber Elf Giro doesn't show up until after Sinful sees something's defeat because he knows that his zero resemblance makes him a prime target for an active metal zombie Vile to snack on. Basically something waiting for the ghost to be clear. Also, Captain Parental Substitute treats the protagonist pair differently because he actually respects people enough to see everybody as individuals who are worthy enough of being paid unique attention. The Omega copy won't be sliced in half like most bosses because it can only die how it remembers being killed. On a loosely related note, Serpent slicing is a no-go because Ale and Ben don't want to deal with such grossness when it involves a very publicly known face. News outlets and whatnot wouldn't really regularly remind them of all the other people and things they slaughtered. Even if they knew, nobody would really report on the anniversary of the death of the purple thing at the amusement park. Endings are a pain, but all of you are fantastic. See ya.